I've done 4.
Okay, we are looking at lesson 5-6. We're looking at 5-6. 5-6. You want to grab lights, Michael, while you're over there? Thanks. Okay, 5-6. So, chapter 5-6 is the last lesson in chapter 5. And the nice thing about chapter 5 is kind of a nice lesson because a lot of it is review. So like I said, we're going to graph inequalities with 2 variables, x and y. So we're going to graph lines. But inequalities look different because I don't have a single answer. I'm not just going to have to do a line. I'm going to have to shade like we did on the number line. So we're going to kind of do what we did with graphing lines, slope and y-intercept, and then we're going to combine like shading and stuff like that. Okay? So it's the same kind of big idea, except we're going to add a few things. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph using slope-intercept form. Okay, like we did on the warm-up. So we're going to either graph using slope-intercept form or x and y-intercepts. And we'll talk about those, which one may be easier. Slope-intercept form is what most of you are familiar with. And so you're usually probably going to use that, which is fine. If you use slope-intercept form every time, I'm okay with that. But I'm going to show you how to do x and y-intercepts again. We've done it, but it's been a while, because sometimes there's going to be times when the x and y-intercepts are easier. Okay? When graphing inequalities, here are a few things that are different. When graphing inequalities, use dashed lines for less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So when you graph the line, you have to check whether the line is dashed or full. Okay? Sorry, that was wrong. Use dashed line for less than or greater than. So we're going to use the dashed line for less than or greater than. If it's equal to, then we're going to use a full line, just like we would a normal equation. So if it has the option of being equal to, so if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you use a full line. Just like you normally would, just like we did on the warm-up when it was y equals negative 2x plus 3 or whatever, we use the full line. So if it has the option of being equal to, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, you use the full line. Next thing is you need to check which way to shade. So one way to do it is to check the point 0, 0, to check which way to shade, or use the less than or greater than symbol. Now, this less than or greater than symbol only works, this trick, it's a kind of a nice trick, but this trick only works in slope-intercept form. Okay? Which means that y is alone. So, looking at your inequality symbol, using the less than or greater than symbol, only works if your inequality is in slope-intercept form. Otherwise, you have to plug in 0, 0. And I'm going to show you both of those ways. Okay, the easiest way is going to be using the less than or greater than symbol, but that only works if it's in slope-intercept form. If it's in standard form, then you have to plug in 0, 0 and check. Okay, so let's actually look at a couple examples and go from there. And I'm going to show you, kind of talk through them with you. Okay. Let's look at example 1. I want to graph. If I look at this, I notice this is not an equation. This is an inequality because I see the less than symbol. Y is less than 3x minus 2. The first thing I notice about this is what? Do what? Yeah, it's already in what form? Y equals, it's not y equals mx plus b, but it's in slope-intercept form already. Y is alone. So if it's already in the form, then just use slope-intercept form. So to graph this, we are going to use, and I'm going to write, use slope, I don't know why I'm going to write in cursive, intercept form. So I'm going to tell you which way we're using to graph it. We're going to use the slope-intercept form because it's already y by itself. So it's stupid to try to use x and y-intercepts because it's already in the y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so what's my slope? 3. What's my y-intercept? Negative 2. So let's go ahead and graph it. What do I graph first? What do I graph first? -2. I go on the y-axis, -2. This is exactly the same. I graph the y-intercept first, -2, and then I graph the slope, which is what? 3. 3 over 1. So I go up 3 over right 1. So up 3, right 1. Now this is an inequality, so something you need to do is you need to check whether my line is dashed or full. Is this a dashed or full line? Dashed, because it is not equal to. If there's any chance of it being equal to, then it is a full line, whether it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. If it is not, if it's just less than or greater than, it is a dashed line. So you just take your line and you graph it. Guys, pay attention please. You take your line and you graph it. So don't just draw a straight line, make sure you check whether it's dashed or full. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to decide which way to shade. This is an inequality, so I'm going to have more than a single answer. So I need to shade, just like we did on the number line. Now, the nice thing is since this is a slope-intercept form, you can use the shortcut. Y is less than 3x minus 2. If it is less than, you shade below it. So, if it's in slope-intercept form, you have a shortcut to graph it. Y is less than. If y is less than, you shade below it. So you're going to shade this way. So if it's in slope-intercept form, then you can just look at the symbol, and if y is less than, you shade below it. If y is greater than, you shade above it, and then you shade it. So it's the same thing we did on the warm-up with a few things added here and there. Any questions on that? Okay, let's look at B. First of all, I notice that this is an inequality because this y is greater than 1/2 x. Is that a half? Yeah, 1/2 x plus 5. Okay, what do I notice first? Yes, so we're going to use slope-intercept form. Don't make your life harder than it needs to be. If it's already in slope-intercept, we're going to use slope-intercept form. I don't know why I'm writing cursive. Whatever. Okay, what's my slope? 1/2. My y-intercept is 5. Nothing is different. If it's already y's alone, graph the slope and the y-intercept. Now you have to check the shading and stuff, but the basic thing is the same. Okay, what do I graph first? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a point on the y-axis at 5. How do I get my next point? Up 1, right 2. Rise over run. Rise over run. My slope is a positive 1/2, so my line should be going uphill. Dashed or full line? Dash, because it's just greater than. It's not equal to. So dashed line. And then check your shading. Now, use the shortcut. Y is greater than 1/2 x plus 5. If it's a greater than symbol, I shade up, above it. So I shade above. If it is the greater than symbol, this only works, this shortcut only works if it's in slope-intercept form. You shade above it. So if it's already in slope-intercept form, then you don't really have to do a lot of work. It's already in slope-intercept form, blah, blah, blah. Any questions on that? Okay, let's look at example 2. Example 2, I want to graph this inequality. 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 6. If I look at this, what form is this in? We have slope-intercept form, standard form, point-slope form. Standard form. X and y are on the same side and the constants on the other side. This is in standard form, so now it's going to be a little trickier to graph this. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. You can decide which way you want to do it for your homework and your tests and study guide. But I want you to write down both ways. So here's option 1. So option 1, I'm going to show you both ways. I want you to write both of these down, and then you can choose which way you want to do. It's up to you. Option 1 is to do slope-intercept form. So option 1 is to do slope-intercept form. So I have 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, if I want to do slope-intercept form, I need to solve this inequality for what? Y, just like we did on the warm-up. What do I do first to solve this for y? Subtract 2x. Minus 2x minus 2x. So 3y is greater than or equal to 6 minus 2x. This is one option. I want you to write both down. You can choose whichever one you want to do, but I want to show you both. I'm going to assume that most of you are more comfortable with slope-intercept form, but sometimes x and y intercepts will be easier, so I'm going to show you both. Okay, is y alone yet? No, I need to do what? Divide by 3. So y is greater than or equal to, I don't switch the sign because I didn't divide by a negative. So y is greater than or equal to 6 divided by 3, 2, and then minus 2/3 x. That fraction doesn't reduce, so just leave it as minus 2/3 x. Okay, what is my slope? Negative 2/3. And what is my y-intercept? 2. So we're going to graph this. Y-intercept first, so graph the y-intercept of 2. And what's my, how do I get my next point? My slope is a negative 2/3, so I go down 2, right 3. Okay, this is an inequality. Is this a full or dashed line? Full, because it's greater than or equal to, so it's a full line. And I need to decide which way to shade. So to check which way to shade, you can use a shortcut if it's in y-intercept form. Y is greater than or equal to 2 minus 2/3 x. You have to use slope-intercept form. If y is greater than or equal to, I shade where? The top. I shade up. So only in slope-intercept form can you use this shortcut. Y is greater than or equal to, so I shade above it. Something like that. That is one option. That is, if I want to use slope-intercept form, then you can do it that way. That's fine. But I want to show you the second way as well. Okay, second option. We are going to use x and y intercepts. So down here, I don't care where, down here if you want to. Option 2. I want you to write both down, and you can choose which one you like better for your homework. You don't have to do both for your homework. Don't do both. That's stupid. Just choose one. Option 2. X and y intercepts. X and y intercepts. Now, since it's already in standard form, x and y intercepts, you don't have to manipulate the inequality any. So if I'm looking for the x-intercept, what do I know y is always equal to? 0. If I'm looking for the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. Now this is review. We don't do this as much as slope-intercept form, but we still have seen this before. If I want to graph, or if I want to find the x-intercept, I take my inequality and plug 0 in for x, or for y. So 2x plus 3 times 0 is greater than or equal to 6. So y is 0, I plug 0 in where y is. Any questions? And then I want to find x. So 2x is greater than or equal to 6. Divide by 2. My x-intercept is what? 3. Now you can just kind of ignore the inequality symbol for right now, because technically it'd be x is greater than or equal to 3, but my x-intercept would just be 3. Okay, the next one, the y-intercept. If I want to know the y-intercept, what do I plug in for x? 0. So if I plug 0 in for x, take your original and plug 0 in for x. So 2 times 0 plus 3 times y, 3y is greater than or equal to 6. I mean, you're just plugging in 0. It's really not. I mean, either way, there's work involved. But okay, 3y is greater than or equal to 6. Divide by 3, so my y-intercept is what? 2. Now, as I graph this, my x-intercept is 3. How do I graph an x-intercept of 3? How do I graph an x-intercept of 3?
Over 3.
I go which direction 3? Right 3. It is the point on the x-axis where it crosses. So if I look at this, this is actually where it crosses. It's the same line, so you should be getting the same answer. It crosses at 3. My y-intercept is 2, so I go on the y-axis at 2, and I put a point. I connect the points. It's this full line, because it's greater than or equal to. So it's the same line, it's just 2 different ways to do it. Now I need to check how to shade. So to check the shading, it's a little different. If it's in standard form, if you're doing x and y intercepts, to check the shading, you cannot use the shortcut, the greater than, less than shortcut. That's only for slope-intercept form. To check the shading, you're going to plug in 0, 0. So you're going to plug in 0, 0 and see if that is true. So you're going to take your original and you're going to plug in 0, 0. And I want to see, does the point 0, 0 work? Is that a solution? So I'm checking to see, is 0, 0 a solution? So I plug in 0 for x and y. Well, what's 2 times 0?
0.
Plus 3 times 0? 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 6? No. Since 0 is not greater than or equal to 6, is 0, 0 a solution? If I plug 0, 0 in, did it give me a true statement? No. So it is not a solution, so I cannot shade over it. I cannot shade over 0, 0, so I shade in the opposite direction. If 0, 0 comes out to be a true statement, it is a solution, so I shade over 0, 0. It is not in this case, so I do not shade over 0, 0. You get the same answer, just 2 different ways to do it.
Yay.
I like option 1, but there will be times on your homework where option 2 will be easier. So that's why I'm showing you. Okay.
So, I do have a question.
Yes.
So you said you can't look, but if you look at that,
Yes, but that won't always be
it
true.
won't always work?
No.
Okay.
Slope intercept, yes. Standard, no. But it's really not. I mean, you're plugging in 0, 0. But okay, let's look at the next one. B. Okay. You can choose whichever option you want to. I don't care. I'm just showing you both ways because I like giving you guys options. Okay? So, inequality B. As I look at inequality B, we have 2 options. Option 1, again, we're going to use slope-intercept form. Option 1, slope-intercept form. So write this both down. You can choose on your homework which one you want to. So option 1 is slope-intercept form. Now, if y is already alone, then just do slope-intercept form. If it's in standard form like this, then you can decide which of the 2 you want to do. But if y is already alone, then just use slope-intercept form. Guys, keep your heads up for me, please. Thank you. Okay, so I have 3x plus 4y is less than or equal to 12. If I want to use slope-intercept form, I need to get y alone. So I do what first? Subtract 3x minus 3x. So 4y is less than or equal to 12 minus 3x. What do I do next? Divide by 4. So y is less than or equal to 12 divided by 4 is 3 minus 3/4 x. You can't reduce the fraction 3 over 4, so just put it as 3/4 x. I'm assuming that this is the way most of you will use. but I like giving you that option. Okay, now let's look at this. My slope is what? What's my number in front of x? Negative 3/4, and my y-intercept is 3. So let's graph this. Graph a y-intercept of 3. So up 1, 2, 3. How do I get my next point using my slope? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rise over 1. Rise over run. Down 3, right 4. So I go down 3, right 4. Before you draw the line, is it a full or dashed line? Full, because it's less than or equal to. So this is a full line. So I can draw a full line through it. Now, slope-intercept form is nice because you can use a shortcut. Y is less than. If y is less than or equal to, which way do I shade? Down. So the nice thing about slope-intercept form is you can use a shortcut. Y is less than, you have to use it in slope-intercept form. So you shade down. Okay, yes, like I said, I would assume most of you would like it that way, but I'm showing you both ways so you have an option. Okay, let's look at my option 2. Option 2.
I have no room in color.
Put it aside or somewhere. Option 2, x and y intercepts. X and y intercepts. Okay. If I look for my x-intercept, what do I plug in for y? If I'm looking for my x-intercept, what do I always plug in for y? 0. So 3x plus 4 times y, 4 times 0 is less than or equal to 12. It's really not that hard. We're plugging in 0 and then finding x. You can do this. It just takes a little more work. 4 times 0, 0. I get 3x is less than or equal to 12. Divide by 3, so x is what? 4. My x-intercept is 4. My y-intercept. If I want the y-intercept, what do I plug in for x? If I want the y-intercept, what do I plug in for x? 0. Ethan, don't work on homework. Do the notes. So 3 times 0 plus 4 times y is less than or equal to 12. Okay, 3 times 0 is gone. Divide by 4. Y is 3. 12 divided by 4, y is 3. So my x-intercept is 4. My y-intercept is 3. If you look, let's graph. Graph an x-intercept of 4, so put a 4 on the x-axis, which is already there because it's the exact same line. Y equals 3, y-intercept of 3, so I go up on the y-axis to 3. It's still a full line because it's less than or equal to, so draw a line through it. Now, standard form is a little harder. I need to check 0, 0. So I plug in the point to check the shading. I plug in 0, 0. So 3 times 0 plus 4 times 0, is that less than or equal to 12? Running out of space there. Let me rewrite that. Yeah, it looks like crap. Down here. 3 times 0 plus 4 times 0, is that less than or equal to 12? I'm checking the point 0, 0, and I'm saying, is that a solution? Okay, let's see. What's 3 times 0?
0.
Plus what?
0.
Is 0 less than or equal to 12? Yes, so is 0, 0 a solution? Yes, since it comes out as a true statement, 0, 0 is a solution, so I shade to include the point 0, 0, which means I shade down here. Either way, you will get the same answer. I'm just showing you 2 ways to do it, because it's good to review it. If you're good with slope-intercept form, then use it every single time. I do not care. I'm just showing you 2 different ways to do it, because I can, because that's my job. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay, let's look at a couple story problems.
Oh.
Okay, let's look at example 4. You'll be fine. Example story problems. A moving van has an interior height of 7 feet, which is 84 inches. You have boxes in 12-inch heights and 15-inch heights and want to stack them as high as possible to fit. Write an inequality that represents the situation. We're not graphing this, we're just writing an inequality. I had to graph all of it along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as I look at this, all I want to do is write an inequality. So let's think about this. I am stacking boxes, and I have 12-inch boxes and 15-inch boxes. What is the highest height I can stack these boxes? 84 inches. So I know that when I stack them, they have to be less than or equal to 84 inches. That is how high my moving van is, and I want to stack it as high as possible. So I want to know how high can I stack these boxes and still be less than or equal to 84 inches. Now, I have 12-inch boxes and I have 15-inch boxes. So I'm going to take 12 times x. X is representing the number of the boxes. So I'm going to take 12 times the number of 12-inch boxes plus 15 times the number of 15-inch boxes. So 12 times x, which is the number of 12-inch boxes, and then 15 times the number of 15-inch boxes, and that has to be less than or equal to 84. Now, let's answer this question. Could I have 3 12-inch boxes and 5 15-inch boxes? So how would I check that? How would I check to see could I have 12, or could I have 2 12-inch boxes and 5 15-inch boxes? How would I check that? Plug them in. Plug in 2 for x and plug in 5 for y and see if it comes out less than or equal to 84. So you can use this inequality to help you figure out a specific situation, which we'll do in the second one. But x is the number of 12-inch boxes and y is the number of 15-inch boxes. And my total, so I add them, has to be less than or equal to 84. Okay, let's look at the next one. Sachi found a used bookstore that sells pre-owned DVDs and CDs. DVDs cost $9 each, and CDs cost $7 each. Sachi can spend no more than $35. Write an inequality that represents the situation and then graph it. So what I would do first is I would write my inequality symbol. I can spend no more than $35. So what I spend has to be what? Trey, keep your head up, please.
Less than or equal to $35.
Yes. What I spend has to be less than or equal to $35. Because I can spend no more than $35. So I have to spend less than or equal to $35. Okay. Now, I know how much the DVDs cost, and I know how much the CDs cost. So let's represent with x and y. I don't care. Let x be the number of CDs, or the DVDs. X is the number of DVDs. And y is the number of CDs. So let's define my variable. So x is the number of DVDs and y is the number of CDs. I should have here. Let me do it this way. Okay. I didn't leave myself enough room. If I want to know the total cost of the DVDs, I'm going to do what? If I want to know the total cost of the money I spent on the DVDs, I'm going to represent it as what? No, I want the total cost. X is just the number. 9 what? No, I want the total cost. If I buy 2 DVDs, how much money did I spend on the DVDs? 18, because you took the price of each times how many I bought. So how would I represent that if X is the number of DVDs? No, we're not talking about a specific situation. It cost $9 a piece, and I bought X number of CDs or DVDs. So how would I represent how much money I spent if it's $9 a piece and I bought X of them? 9x. You take the price of each one times how many I bought. So if they cost $1 a piece, I multiply that by how many I bought. Plus, how would I represent how much money I spent on the CDs? 7y. Now, if I need to graph this, what would be the easiest way to graph this? What form is this in? This is in standard form. So as much as you hate doing this because you're like, I like slope-intercept form better, x and y intercepts would be easier. Because if you try to do this in slope-intercept form, it's not going to come out nice. You're going to have decimals and whatever. It's going to be harder to graph. So let's use x and y intercepts. If I want my x-intercept, what do I plug in for y? 0. I know this is not your preferred method, but it's good to practice this. So I plug 0 where y is. 9x is less than or equal to 35. Divide by 9. Give me a decimal. X is less than or equal to what? What's 35 divided by 9? 3 point something.
It sounds like it.
35 divided by 9. It's almost 4, but not quite. 3 point something. Someone do it on our calculator. 35 divided by 9.
3.8.
3.8. So my x-intercept is 3.8. Let's find my y-intercepts. My y-intercepts, I plug 0 in for what? I plug 0 in for what? X. So I know this is not your preferred method, but sometimes it's easier when it's in standard form. If x is 0, 9 times 0 plus 7y is less than or equal to 35. Well, 9 times 0 is gone. How do I find y? Divided by 7. So y is less than or equal to 5. So my y-intercept is 5. So you can go ahead and graph those, x and y-intercepts. How do I graph an x-intercept of 3.8? How do I graph an x-intercept of 3.8? You guys should know this. X-intercept. How do I graph an x-intercept of 3.8?
Right.
I go to the right 3.8. It's the point on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3. It's going to be closer to 4, something like that. Y-intercept of 5. How do I graph a y-intercept of 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a 5 on the y-axis. Is this a dashed or full line? Dash. No. Full. Less than or equal to. Full line. And then I need to decide which way to shade. Check the point 0, 0. That's the easiest point to check. Check 0, 0. And see if it's a solution. So check the point 0, 0. If it comes out true, then you shade to include it because it's a solution. 9 times 0 plus 7 times 0. Is that less than or equal to 35? What's 9 times 0 plus 7 times 0? 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 35? Yes. Is 0, 0 a solution? Yes, so I shade to include 0, 0. So I shade this way.
Why is this so weird?
Because it's just the first quadrant. I don't have all 4. Okay, let's answer the last question real quick.
What do you mean?
I didn't leave you room, sorry. Part B. Does he have enough money to buy 2 DVDs and 2 CDs? 3 CDs. How do I check that? Plug it in. Yeah, you guys can do this. Don't make things harder than they are. If I buy 2 DVDs, what does 2 get plugged in for? X. So 9 times 2 plus y is the number of CDs, so that's 3. And I want to know, is that total less than or equal to 35? Can he buy it? If it's more, then he doesn't have enough money. 9 times 2, 18. 7 times 3 is 21. Yeah. 18 plus 29 is 39. Is 39 less than or equal to 35?
No.
No. He went over his budget, so he does not have enough money to buy those two things.
Cheapskate.
You mean the 5 things?
Correct. Cost more than $35. Okay, any
$35
questions
for
on that?
5 items. I can go to Dollar General
Okay.
and buy 5 items for like.
Good for you.
$5.
Then you do that. Okay. So, any questions on that? Okay. Homework. I'm not giving you much because I know you have a study guide to work on as well.
I thought that was all you were giving us, is just a study guide.
I told you yesterday I was giving you.
No, you did not.
Yes,
I
he
did,
did.
that's
He
okay.
said you will have a short assignment tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I
and then
remember that
a
now.
study guide on Thursday.
You're gonna grab the lights, Mark.
How are you gonna
I
post
think
it?
I've been
I'll
shot.
Huh?
How are you gonna post it?
Post what?